forget to record. See, now you have to do the intro all over again.
Welcome, everybody. That's good enough.
Oh, wait.
Wait, what?
I have to share the computer sound. So let's go back.
This is Science of Mind and Santa Rosa.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just what I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just what I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Okay, we start everything with the Science of Mind treatment. So let's take a moment to settle in and bring us back to remembering. Remembering the one power, the one inexhaustible presence that permeates all of life. It breathes in, through, and as everything, seen and unseen, known and unknown. The seed of divine perfection, bringing fresh new life to every breath cycle. And just as I know this presence and power moves through all life, it moves in and through as me, and everyone being touched by this prayer right here and right now. A deep, profound knowing of this interconnectedness of all life. We simply remember the sacredness available to us in every moment, knowing that as we gather today, that all is unfolding just as it should. For if life was meant to be any other way, at this moment it would be. So I claim for each and every one of us a greater receptivity, a greater opening to the sense of community and the wisdom shared between us today. I claim for all health and strong immune systems. I see a fruitful economy where there is more than enough for all. I claim our country and every country wrapped in peace, oneness, and safety. And I know our universal environment is being cared for so future generations can enjoy it. And I am so very grateful for the opportunity to remember and live the truth of oneness, for the opportunity to gather in this way at this moment. Grateful for always having guidance, love, health, and abundance. And I have deep appreciation for living in a world where safety, respect, and strong economy are our everyday realities. Gratitude for all the leaders governing with intelligence, heart, and wisdom. Grateful for good always going before us and making our way clear. We simply allow the shared time to be everything that it is. And I let go, I let God, knowing all is well, all is God, all is good. And I release this into the divine, into loving law. And it is done, it is complete. And together we say, and so it is. We have our identity prayer. I know that within myself, there is a life which is perfect, complete, and divine. It was never born, and it cannot die, for it lives and is God. Within myself is wholeness, peace, poise, and the power of life. This life is health, it is abundance, and it is love. There is one life, and it is the life of God, and this is my life now, and so it is. And this is a little bit different. This is a Pledge of Allegiance by David Alt. Do we have the pledge?
It's
It's not wanting to play.
It's
Yeah.
the very beginning. It's the first thing coming up. 0000.
okay. Well, let's see. I think I'm gonna have to. No, I shouldn't have to unshare. I may have to unpresent. Um, okay, it's not presented. Where's the format options? Video playback 0 to 738.
Right.
It should work. It's not working.
Oh. Okay.
Something there.
Can we go to the Freedom Talk, which is on 1012?
There's 1012.
Yeah. Do presenter view and
Hello and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living virtual service. I am Edward Viljoen and it's a pleasure to welcome you to our service. It's July and centers for spiritual living all over our nation are likely talking about freedom. Our teaching, the science of it, is very clear that the birthright of every being, for every soul, is freedom. And that the freedom that any one of us enjoys must be available to everyone, regardless of race, sexual orientation, culture, gender identity, age, or any of the ways that we show up differently in this world. Even so, even though freedom we hold to be a birthright for every being, there may very well be social, economic, cultural, political, religious, or even personal blocks to a person experiencing that freedom. So then, for those of us who have freedom, the invitation can be to share it, to ensure that others may have it, and to speak for it, and to be a living example of it, of freedom for all. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, when talking about freedom, made the distinction between liberty and license. In other words, he was guiding us to use our freedom responsibly. As Paul's first letter to the Corinthians states, all things may be possible, but not all things are beneficial. This is a reminder to me that, yes, I may be free to think and speak in any way I like. However, just because something is possible does not necessarily mean that it's a good choice for building a life of meaning and connection and worth. You know, simply because it's possible to cheat, to lie, to gossip, to use foul language, to be mean-spirited, to put my needs first, to use sarcasm, rudeness, does not necessarily mean that behaving that way, in any of those ways, will take me where I want to go in life, or to make the kind of contribution to the world that I want to, as part of the legacy I leave for the world. So here is a great question to consider this month. What would an irresponsible use of my freedom be? What would that look like? Perhaps using my freedom without regard for its impact on others. Maybe using my freedom without considering if others have the same access to it that I do. This is an important issue that is being discussed in spiritual communities everywhere as we do the inner work that is necessary to create a world of equity and oneness. Another good question is this: what would a responsible use of my freedom look like? What would that be like? I can think of a few ideas. Perhaps you have your own. Maybe it means I can commit to taking responsibility for the impact, the effect that my words and actions and thoughts and choices have on others.
When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. When I pray, I feel my soul go deeper, my soul go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my soul go deeper, my soul go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. When I pray, I feel my love go deeper, my love go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my love go deeper, my love go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God.
Clearly, I need to review the breakpoints on these things. I just used the times that you provided. Next one.
So it's after the message. Could we try to get back to the
This
other
month
thing?
we're talking about prayer. In my opinion, it's an important subject to add to the conversation that is taking place the world over. The conversation about racial equity, inclusion, and justice. To me, it's appropriate to talk about or to restart our practice or deepen our practice, our prayer practice right now, when many of us are sheltering in place and can do more prayer. While we are sheltered in place, one of the many things we can do is contribute our prayer work. This is not the time for less spiritual practice, but for more. I think of it like this. For those of us who can, why we ought to be speaking our word of prayer. For those who are in the front lines, for those who are vulnerable in vulnerable populations, for those who must work and are exposed to danger, and for those who would love to work but cannot. And for those whose families and finances have been negatively impacted by this pandemic, and for those who are not able to pay their rent this month, and for those who are shelterless, and for those who are working for much needed social change, and for those who are frightened. The list is long. There is enough need and enough requests and enough opportunities for us, well, to be in prayer 24/7, 365. Indeed, the Bible says we ought to pray without ceasing. And that was before the internet and before social media and before the massive information overload that has become part of our daily reality. I remember someone once asking a teacher, what should I pray about? I don't really know what to pray about. Things in my life are going well. And the teacher answered, just read the news and then you'll know. Prayer, affirmative prayer, is what we learn about in our Science of Mind classes. It's what Dr. Sayota Bell is going to be teaching in the class called Beyond Limits that begins this week. And did you know that you can get 50% discount on the price of that class? You even can select your own price on the registration page, so check that out. You have to register today. And even if you have taken the class before, if you're sheltering in place and you feel the call to pray on behalf of our world, this class is a great context, a great environment to support you in making a regular practice and deepening. In class, we learn about prayer, affirmative prayer we call it. It's a particular approach to prayer. And for me, when I first learned this approach, this affirmative prayer approach, it was a game changer in my life. The affirmative prayer we learn is more like a meditation and less like a request. The practice of affirmative prayer is to get clear on what the divine is to me at any given moment, and then to see myself and to see you and to see the world as the divine sees it. And once a person learns this affirmative prayer process, it becomes a way of life. Now, every time something shows up in my life, every time someone shows up in my life, some disturbance, even some joy in my neighborhood, anywhere, what am I going to do? Because now I've learned, before I do anything in the world, first do something inside my own mind. Do an affirmative prayer. Get clear on the divine, and then attempt to see myself and you and the situation through the lens of how the divine sees it. Now that I've learned to do that, I can't not do it. I kind of think of it as a moral imperative of my faith to speak my word of prayer, because when I don't speak my word of prayer, my silence allows things to stay the same, to keep on going the way they have always been. When I'm silent in my prayer, and what I mean by that is I don't do my prayer, well, then I don't have to face the question of how does the divine see this. I can stay in my opinion. I can stay in my politics. I can stay in my conditioning. I can disconnect myself from the spiritual understanding of oneness. I don't have to deal with this idea of we are connected and I am you and you are me. And I can avoid those urges, those uncomfortable urges of the divine that want to move me forward in my spiritual evolution. I don't have to open myself to the awareness of what the divine wants to express through me that it can only do through me. And now we're learning this is also true in the social world, as much as it is true in my prayer life. In the social world, when I'm silent, when it comes to injustice, racism, prejudice, then I don't have to engage. I don't have to feel the discomfort of two dissonant points of view working themselves out in a conversation. Whoever it is who first said, life is not a spectator sport, I think was correct. We are part of it, and it is part of us. We've been looking at that. In the past several weeks, we've had meetings in our centers, various communities, most recently with our virtual social hall, and that takes place on the third Sunday of each month, where we get together, see each other, talk together. And in that meeting, we asked the question, how can we, as a spiritual community, respond to the emerging conversation and the rising consciousness of what racism has been doing in our society worldwide? Because we are part of the society and it is part of us. So let's dive in. Let's look. As you can imagine, one of the frequent responses is, we could pray. And I'm for that, yes, because prayer is powerful and it is an action, and because prayer anchors me in my spirituality, and because prayer makes me a better person, and because prayer gives me courage, and because prayer reminds me who I am, and because prayer reminds me of the sacredness of life, and because it is the case that prayer will definitely and dependably lead me to do what is mine to do. Also, you can imagine many of the responses from our conversation when we discussed the answer to the question, how can we as a spiritual community respond to the emerging conversation and rising consciousness of racism worldwide? Some of the responses showed the deep and sincere desire in our community to do more, and also to do the inner work that will dismantle whatever traces of prejudice, known or unknown, or supremacy, known or unknown, that might be lurking within ourselves. So out of these discussions, 3 actions have emerged. 1, we're creating a resource list of movies and books and podcasts for spiritual allies of oneness, and we're going to post that on our website in the upcoming weeks. We're working on that. We took notes in all of the meetings and collected resources mentioned by our community members. The second action that has arisen we are actively researching organizations that work toward racial equity, inclusion, justice, so that we can nominate them for our nonprofit partners for our 2021 program. And there will be an online nomination form made available in the upcoming weeks so that you, members of our community, can participate also in nominating organizations for our nonprofit partner program. The third action that has arisen is that we are hosting a community-wide book study using Me and White Supremacy by Layla Said. Now, the details for that book study will be published on our website shortly too. So stay in contact with our website. That's where it's all happening and where you can find out how you can be part of the emerging conversation. Now, these three actions I mentioned, they can, all of them, importantly, also be supported in prayer by you and by me. So let me get back to the topic for today. The question is, what is prayer? It's helpful, I think, for a person to go back to what did I learn as a child about prayer? Now, I've done that, and much of what I learned about prayer as a child was not helpful. One of the first bold impressions I have from growing up, what I learned about prayer was that it was an instrument, a means to an end. You know, prayer is something you did to get something done, which I admit is still an attractive concept. I mean, who doesn't want to get a few things done, handled? And I have handled some important things in my life through prayer. I've got some stuff done because of affirmative prayer. The realization now, or I can even call it a problem, is that this idea of prayer being a means to an end, it's limited, it's one-dimensional, because there is so much more to prayer. Yes, it's true, there's a creative component to prayer. Yes, prayer can change things. And, importantly, prayer can be prayed for the experience of praying itself. One of my favorite authors on prayer, Helene Chiarovino, wrote this: prayer should be cherished for its benefit at the very moment it is experienced, not for what it can do in the future. That's good. Let's do that again. Prayer should be cherished for its benefit at the very moment it is experienced, not for what it can do in the future. So then, when I'm praying my prayer, where is my mind? Is my mind on the future, or is it in the prayer? When I'm praying my prayer, is my mind on the outcome, or is it in the prayer? You see, this is a beautiful idea. If I can stay out of the future for a moment and be in the prayer, then my prayer becomes a way of coming into conscious contact, conscious awareness of the divine, with the divine. And I can be nourished by that and blessed by that. It's true, you and I are always in contact with the divine. And prayer makes that contact conscious, real, available. Sometimes I'm not available in life because I can be easily distracted, for example, by my cell phone. You know, I could be in a conversation with someone I dearly love, and bing, the text alert goes off on my phone. And there goes my attention, whisked away from someone I adore, stolen away, stolen from a moment of cherished, close sharing. Bing! It wasn't until I experienced being on the other side of that kind of ever so slightly distractedness that I realized this is no way to treat the people I love. This is no way to treat anyone. This is no way to pray. Prayer is immersing myself undistractedly as I can in the presence of the beloved. No one else, nothing else, no other time, just the one being with the spiritual love of my life, being with the lover of my soul, being with the source, being in the temple of the Most High. There is so much more to prayer than getting what I want. There is so much more to prayer than controlling conditions. There is so much more to prayer that can only be found in the act of prayer itself. When I give myself over as completely as I can to the act of prayer. I had to let go of some of the things I learned as a child about prayer. I had to let go of the idea that prayer is some kind of silver bullet that can magically solve all things. And maybe, but in reality, prayer is more about getting into sync with the divine and cooperating with that and working with that to allow it to make changes in ourselves and then through us in the world. I've had to learn patience with prayer because it doesn't always result in a sudden answer or a memo of bullet steps that I need to take. Especially if what I'm praying about has been with me for a very long time, or if I'm praying about something that has been in the world for a very long time, or if I'm praying about something that has been hidden in society for a very long time. In that case, then, my prayer practice, well, it seems to me it's more like that idea you've heard before, the act of a sculptor chipping away at the marble to eventually reveal a statue. Yes, prayer is like art, creative. And prayer is like music, sometimes wordless. Prayer is like poetry, it's where you say things that ordinary language cannot. Prayer is like a secret conversation between besties. I love that phrase, a bestie. You know what a bestie is, right? A best friend. That's that person you can't do anything wrong in their eyes because they'll always love you. It's that person where, there isn't anything you can't tell them. You'll always be safe. You'll always be heard. And even if you withhold something important from them, it's likely they already knew. And then when you do confess that you withheld something, they forgive you because they want for you what you want for you. And they are so close that it doesn't matter how you show up. And you're so close that it doesn't matter if you use the right words. And you're so close that sometimes you complete each other's sentences. And you're so close that sometimes you wonder if you were together in a previous lifetime. Thinking of prayer then, it's like being with your bestie. And the very first step in affirmative prayer is to get myself mentally into the company of my bestie, my beloved, my spiritual lover, my source. To forget about the future for a moment. To set aside, everything for a moment. And to be present as much as I can be for the experience. Now, the next time we are together, we're going to examine what are some of the reasons we don't pray, to see if we can unpack that and understand it, and maybe move through it together into a regular practice of affirmative prayer. I invite you to take a breath in with me right now, and to exhale, letting your eyes close as we enter into a moment of spiritual practice together. Recognizing one presence that is the ultimate source of all life, the love of the universe, the mind of creation, the spirit of all that is. I, Edward, identify myself as part of it. Its everywhere presentness, its all-pervasive essence. And in so identifying myself with it, I must identify everyone and everything and all else with this same presence, in the miraculous and beautiful, awe-inspiring configuration of oneness. And in so doing, I realize that I am, and each one of us are, an individual, unique point of creation within the splendor of the oneness of creation. And this realization helps me. It dissolves in me any barriers. It brings to the forefront, any hidden beliefs that keep me from stepping deeper into this way of being, of love, of oneness. And so I declare that I am willing to be a fuller, better, greater channel for the expression of the light of the universe and its love. And I'm willing also to let that light show me what is mine to do, and to help me understand what I have not yet understood, and to see what I have not seen. I give thanks for this prayer and for the beneficial impact it is having on me and all who hear it. And I release this word into that aspect of the divine we call the law, so that we may know together that having spoken the word, it is done. And so it is.
Give me a minute here. You want me to go back and try to play that other video? I think I'm going to have to delete and re-add the video.
Oh, I don't know. I guess we could have a discussion and then do it after the discussion.
Okay.
So that's our new spiritual leader. So I really enjoyed that on prayer. It was, it kind of took you a little deeper. And I love connecting to you, bestie. I thought that was really good to think of spirit like that, to think of spirit always having the guidance and always being there, and just to think of prayer as being more than limited to what you can get or future, you know, and just experiencing prayer in the moment. I really thought it was interesting. I liked to think about it like that, you know. And sometimes I do spiritual mind treatments every day for a lot of people, and it's different to do it in a different attitude, you know. It makes it a lot, I don't know, more personal when you think of it differently. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
I had he mentioned his phone would ding and steal his attention away, and I have a little bone to pick with that point of view. His attention was not stolen away, he gave it away. He gave his attention to the phone when it made a noise, because he had the choice, he had the ability, if he chose to use it, to ignore the phone. So the phone didn't steal his attention away.
Yeah.
He gave it away.
Yeah.
And we
I've
all
just been making a point that when it dings, it's going to take your attention. The point is, do you let it continue to take your attention, or do you go right back to what you were focusing?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so easy to do.
That's why people send texts, because they don't want to bother you
Yeah.
right now, and you can get to it when you're ready.
That's exactly right. When I send you a text, I don't necessarily expect an immediate response.
Right.
If I need an immediate response, I won't text you.
I'll call
I
you.
will call you.
Yeah.
That's the usefulness of those two.
Well, it's life too. I know. Just living with all the people I'm living with now, it's like very hard to keep your focus when everything else is going on. And it's like, you know, you try not to give it the attention, but it's very loud.
Well, we train ourselves to be easily distracted.
Yeah. Even our thoughts. I mean,
Yes.
you know, your thoughts come in and out. And, you know, if you let them go, you're better off than giving your attention, but they do come in and out all the time.
I was just going to say, phones could be turned off.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want to pray, turn those off to start with.
Yeah.
That might eliminate some problems.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
or I mean, if you don't have the discipline to ignore it, then yeah, you know, turn it off.
That's why I have my phone's off a lot.
That's why.
And he tries to call me or something, I don't answer because my phone's off.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating for me because there are times when I need to get a hold of her and I can't. You know, she doesn't respond to text or phone or nothing.
Yeah.
But you know,
Mine's
from my
mostly
point
off.
of view, it is better to simply develop the discipline, the self-discipline, to place your attention on that which is most important in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're in the middle of a prayer and you suddenly hear a kid scream, your attention is going to be distracted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their health and well-being has come into question. You hear a lawnmower in the background, you could more easily ignore that.
When I first started meditating, I had this cap that said, don't bug me.
Yeah.
I'd put that on so that people would know I'm meditating, don't bug me.
I liked his thing about freedom too, that he was saying, you know, just, and that's so true today. Just because we have freedom doesn't mean we have to use it without responsibility.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, he mentioned something, though, that I think he used the wrong word. He said something along the lines, he was talking about all these things that you tend to, you're putting all these other things in front of other people. He said one of the things he mentioned was you put your own needs in front of others, and you should put your own needs in front of others. It's your own wants that maybe should be sliding around. You know, because if you don't take care of your own needs, your own, sleep, your food, your nutrition, your exercise, you're not going to be fit to take care of anybody else.
You know,
Right.
if your own cup is not full, then you have nothing to share with other people.
Yeah.
Your cup is full, you can't receive anything either. It's the
Well,
yin and yang. It's the yin and yang thing. It's a constant balance.
Yeah. Right.
You're muted, Nita.
Nita, you'll have to unmute yourself. I can't unmute you.
Am I unmuted now?
Now you
Yes.
are. Yes.
Okay. I was going to say, I agree very much with the idea of balance. I think everything is balance. You have to look at it like sometimes I receive more, sometimes the other person receives more. Sometimes it's, it's just everything is a balancing act of thinking of self, thinking of others. Sometimes you have to think of others 2 times in a row to 1 time for yourself, but you do come back to yourself. So
Yeah. It is.
That
The Bible
makes me-
tells us that our prayers are answered before we say them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Spirit knows what we're thinking.
So yeah, so we can't fake it.
Yeah.
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 I have a good example of that. I was just using that in this example in a conversation with someone earlier this week. So this concept that your prayer is answered before you even ask it. There was a time a number of years ago when Anne was concerned about that she had some bills to pay and didn't see where the money was going to be there to pay the bills. And so she went to her spirit guides and said, I need some money to pay these bills. And this check for like $150 showed up in the mail, and it was some credit card had overcharged us on something, some
interest or something.
fee or interest, who knows what, it doesn't matter. They had overcharged us, and so they sent us a refund. And it's like, $150 out of the blue. Who knew?
Yeah.
And
Couple
so
days later.
she went back and said, no, thank you. I appreciate that. That's really good. And, but I need more money than that. And another couple days go by and we get another check, if I remember correctly, from the same credit card company
Yeah.
that they hadn't refunded us enough.
Yeah.
They had
a rebate or something that we had coming to us.
So the same credit card company. So now it's like $300 that we've gotten just out of the blue. Who knew where that, but I mean, the bills that Ann needed to pay was about $4,000.
Yeah.
So she goes back to the guys and says, thank you. I appreciate the money.
But I'm talking thousands. I need thousands.
I need thousands. Now she's kind of thinking the word thousands, but really in the back of her mind is this $4,000 number. A couple or 3 days later, my name shows up in the newspaper that the state is holding funds for me. In other words, there's funds that were owed to me, and they don't know how to get a hold of me. And so, it was up to me to contact the state to find out what it was. Well, it turned out that it was like $3,700 that had been from a real estate transaction 10 years before.
Wow.
And now there's some interesting things to this that I want to point out to you. If you haven't done a real estate transaction, anytime you do a real estate transaction, you go to the title company and there's this statement that's called the HUD statement. And basically the left column is all the numbers for the seller and the right column is all the numbers for the buyer. And, there's the seller has to pay this and gets a refund on this and has to pay that and gets something back on that. And, it ends up down at the bottom is what the seller gets out of this transaction. And the buyers, they have to pay for this and they have to pay for that and they have to, all this stuff comes up and it gets down to the bottom, and this is what they have to bring to the table. And usually it's, two couples. So, the seller's a couple and the buyer's a couple. So that's 4 people that have been through this statement with a fine tooth comb. There's the person at the title company that has put this statement together. And then, if it's a good title company, there will be somebody else in the title company that has gone through this thing with a fine tooth comb.
Both realtors look at it.
Both realtors look at it. There's just a crowd of people that have, because we're talking, hundreds of thousands of dollars generally. So, if it's $10, you're not going to look at it that close. If it's $100,000, then you're going to look at it a little closer. And you got this whole room full of people that have checked all the numbers on this thing. How did it come up with a error $3,700 to our benefit 10 years ago? And it shows up right when she asked for it. Whereby comes the idea that when you pray for something, the answer is already there. That the things, right. It's kind of mixed up, because the way I look at it is like, okay, you make the prayer and then that causes something to happen 10 years ago which then percolates until it finally pops up
But then in spirit,
right when you ask
there
it.
is no
From,
time.
from the spiritual perspective, space and time has no meaning. So,
We also
but
don't have to worry about how.
Yeah,
well,
right.
that's the other thing is
Yeah.
that you don't have to worry. It is not our
It's not our business.
it's not our domain to
Figure it out.
decide how something is going to happen.
Thank God.
Literally.
Yeah,
Well,
thank God.
here's my perspective on that, and that is, there's an infinite number of ways that something could take place, and the more the more you try to decide how it's going to happen, the more you restrict. Now, granted, okay, I want a new car. Infinite number of ways that could happen. I want a new Honda. Well, that's, how many different brands of cars are there? Well, now it's only 1/5 of an infinite number. There's still an infinite number of ways that could happen. Oh, I want a red Honda. Well, so it's 1/5 of that infinite number. So it always ends up being an infinite number. But the fact is that it does reduce the ways that this whatever it is could happen.
Right.
And so it takes a little more energy for it to happen that way, or maybe it takes a little longer for it to happen. The pieces, there's more pieces that have to fit together to make it happen. But the point is, the more I try to decide how it's going to happen, the more I limit those possibilities of how it could happen.
Right.
Also, I think if you partially believe your prayer, you're just praying for praying, and you're not centered, and it's a partial belief, then it's not truth. And so there will be no answer to that prayer.
Or you get a partial answer to the prayer.
Exactly.
If you're only partially believing in your prayer, then you get only a partial answer.
I've always found that the more emotion I had behind it, that's where things happen faster.
And
That's
again,
what a lot of the teachers
the law
talk
of
about.
attraction too. It's the law of attraction, what you're thinking and what you're feeling and what you're
whatever you put energy into. So if you're being very passionate about it, then you're putting a lot of energy into it.
Yeah.
But also, there's a fine line between begging and I don't think begging is good.
No, you got to
You have to be in a state of gratitude or love, higher vibration, and that's what gives the thought the power. You can have the intention, but without the emotional.
Oh, back when all these things were happening, that was in desperation. Yeah. That was the energy of desperation, though.
Yeah, no, they're desperation prayers too, Ann.
Yeah, and I've decided now that, why do I have to put in that kind of negative energy into my prayers? Why can't things happen without that? And so that's what I've been practicing in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, that's the importance of gratefulness.
Yeah.
Because gratefulness is kind of the almost the opposite. Sylvia, if you're begging for something, aren't you really essentially saying that I don't deserve to get this?
Well, you're coming from lack.
Yeah.
Good point. You don't have it to begin with. Yeah.
Well, you don't have it to get. Well, but I mean, I can not have something.
Like I didn't have the $4,000.
And anticipate it joyfully, or I can not have something and go begging for it. But I look at things from a energetic standpoint. So you look at, okay, what's the energy of joyfully anticipating something that I know is coming to me because I've asked for it, versus going and begging for it. Begging has the energy of, I don't deserve this, I'm probably not going to get it, so on and so forth. You look at the energy of this thought or word or action, and kind of have a feel for, okay, how does this align with an abundance, I can create anything I want mindset?
Well,
Yeah.
I was tying.
Right here. Oops, that's backwards, isn't it?
You
No.
can't. No, you can't.
You
Your
can't get-
dream.
You can't get something. It's your dream. Something must
You can't get
come
to
from
To
it.
your dream.
your dream.
Must
You must come from it.
Yeah. I think
That's exactly what Paul was just saying.
Yeah. I think what was going on back, when I was doing all my desperate pleading and stuff, is that I was actually coming from the viewpoint of an
In other words, you have to have.
Go ahead, Ann.
I was coming
Yeah,
from
you
a-
have to have the energy of what it is that you're.
Yeah.
Well, I felt like the universe was not a friendly place. And so I had to plead and desperate and, to grab and hold on to. And I finally came to that realization that I'd always thought that the universe was a friendly place, but apparently I really did not. And I finally came to that realization in here that, and so I shifted my energy and started believing that the universe does have my best interest in heart, and it is a friendly universe. And that's what shifted the way I work with my prayers and stuff now.
Mm-hmm. I think I was tying begging to passion. There's a thin line there. Passionate prayer and a begging prayer.
That's true. That's why I've always heard that a mother's prayer is answered first. And I think that's because the mother's prayer is often a passion prayer, for their child.
Yeah, it's for another's well-being.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very, very interesting. You were talking earlier, Ann, about, having the desperation of the money. And the passion, as you say, Sylvia, seems to be a very, and very important ingredient. And I think that it's the passion of the emotion that allows us to focus. And it's the focus that helps to bring something into, helps to bring something into manifestation, is the intense focus of it. With Mary Morrissey's work, we talk about that a whole lot, that, you can have diffuse light and you get diffuse response. But if you focus all of your attention and your energy on one point, if you focus the light, if you take a mirror or a prism or so forth and focus the light of the sun on a particular point, you'll get a fire there, And so it's the same with our attention. Well, what we give our attention to, what we intend and give our attention to, is what kind of, it will come into being. And as we were talking earlier, the prayer is already answered, but our attention, our intense intention, allows us to understand that and to get it, and to, go, Paul, and look in the paper and find that answer was already there,
Yeah.
But so my real point is, though, it's kind of a question. Is it negative or positive energy, or just the actual intensity of the energy put on what it is that we think we want or need? And I think it's even if it's negative out of desperation, if we can continue to put our energy on what it is we're looking for, that $4,000, that will actually overcome the desperation part of that energy. And it kind of turns to focus, to become expectation. As long as you keep putting your energy on that, even if it starts out to be negative and so forth, if we continue to put our energy, our focus on what it is that we need or desire, then it can turn to become expectation. And that's when the magic happens.
I think too, it's not just saying desperation. You could be desperate and want something because it's going to keep your family in a house. It's going to keep your family fed. Or you can be desperate because I want to make my Camaro payment so I can look good in front of people.
But I
You
think
can be
it's also
desperate in either of those cases, but one of them is for the benefit of the good of all concerned. The other one, well, you may get it, may end up proving to yourself that materialism is not something that's beneficial.
But they're both energy.
Yeah. There's
That's a good.
there's from my point of view, there really isn't any positive or negative about energy.
Yeah,
And
it's just there.
It's just there. Now there's energy it's like Viljoen said, there's things that serve me and others, and there's things that don't. That all energy is good. It just some of it serves me and others, and some of it doesn't. I think a big challenge that we have, which is really kind of what Jane was talking about, focusing on something, is what is it exactly that I am putting my energy into? And the reason I say that is because the tendency is for most people, me included, to put the energy into things that I don't really want, and not put the energy into, you think in terms of, I guess maybe going on a voyage and you have a port in mind. Well, if you're thinking that you want to go to this place, but the whole time that you're trying to move that direction, you're looking at this other thing, or you get distracted on other things, or you spend your energy, you spend your thoughts, feelings, actions, and deeds on something that is not aligned with what you want. Well, you're not being focused on what you want at that point. You're putting energy into other things, and that detracts from the energy that you're putting into the thing that you said you wanted.
Well, it comes down to lack. If you're focusing on lack, you're going to get lack.
Yeah. Well, or if I say, well, I need a new car, but then I get busy, buying little trinkets or spending my money on something else. Well, I'm not going to get a new car, because I'm going to use the resources that are coming to me for doing something other than getting what I want. What I say I want.
If you look at the work of Dr. Emoto, things, energy, gratitude, and love does have a higher vibration than hate. And you can look at the work of Message of Water and clearly see that.
Yeah.
But when you ask somebody too, though, back to you, Paul, about distracting your energy, and Kathy, coming from lack, when you ask someone, what would you love? Most of us have tamped that down so much, we've, been disappointed and so forth, so that we don't even have dreams anymore. We won't allow ourselves to dream or to really think about what it is that we love. But if you ask somebody, if you get them to actually pay attention and to think and to come up with an answer, they'll go, oh, I would love this. And as soon as they say it, right, what immediately comes out of their mouth is, oh, but blah, 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 I couldn't possibly, da, 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 da. And so, Paul, is like when you put your attention or your desire on something, on a destination, the distractions usually come immediately, even just connected with that destination. Oh, but I've got a whole ocean to cross, I'll never make it, So it can be directly related to what it is that you wanted, that you desired, but we come at it from a point of lack, and we find all the reasons that it can't happen for us.
You gotta weed your garden before you can plant the good thing.
The paradigm rears its ugly head.
Yes.
But that's why in Science of Mind, the Science of Mind treatment is so powerful.
Yes.
Because it has you seeing it. You visualize it already here, and you're feeling it already here. So it's one of the most powerful prayers you can use.
Right back to the talk today about how prayer is already answered, and you come to the prayer to get in touch with that.
Right. Right. And I loved, again, how he said it's praying itself is such a gift, you know, that you have to keep that in mind instead of just looking for a result, just like meditating, you know?
Yeah, prayer for the sake of prayer.
Yeah.
It's being in that state of consciousness, not to get something, but to be in that state of consciousness, and
Exactly.
understanding that God knows better than you. Your limited perspective. Well, I want this. I need this.
Yeah.
But you're going to get what you really need if you open yourself up to prayer.
Yeah.
Exactly. And coming from your dream. When we talk about gratitude, when you first trying to practice that, you say, well, I'm grateful for this and that and the other thing. That's a good practice. But what you really want to practice is being grateful from, and just generating that sense of gratitude to begin with.
Yeah.
And then that puts you in that essence.
Thank you, Jane. I like
what
that.
you're saying, Kim. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. Grateful from. That's it.
Well, and also when we're praying, as I said, we have to be fully committed to that prayer at that time.
Well, you want to see the end result. You want to visualize what you're praying for, that you already have it. So you are committed to it because you're seeing it already happening.
Yeah. But it might not be a prayer of request, as he said. Sometimes we're just searching for truth within us.
Right. There's different types of prayers.
Not a request. Mm-hmm.
You could think of it as being, when you're praying for something as if it's already there, you could think of it as being a practice of putting yourself in alignment with that, whatever it is. In other words, you're not really putting in a request for it per se, but you're preparing yourself to accept it.
Yeah.
Okay, give an example of that, Paul.
Well, essentially the science of mind treatment is
that, yeah.
I mean, that you are picturing in your mind's eye that this is already in the place. One of the things that we have kind of talked about, not necessarily today, is it's like Jane's cup. You don't put your cup up there again, Jane, or read it to us.
You can't get to your dream. You must come from it.
So the point is that in order for things to manifest for you, you have to get yourself in the right vibration for it. You have to be a vibrational match for that which you want to come in. If you're not a vibrational match for it, it cannot come in. So the science of mind treatment prayer is essentially disciplining yourself or working yourself into this being a vibrational match for that which it is that you're contemplating. I'm using the word contemplating rather than something that I'm asking for. So rather than asking for it, what I'm doing is just putting myself into a state of mind that is receptive for this whatever it is to come to pass.
One of my favorite examples is so simple. It's say you are wanting a loving relationship, and so you go to the store, walking around with your little grocery cart, and you see this couple in the store, and they are just so lovey-dovey. And you see them and they can't keep their hands off of each other, and they're looking at the produce and going, and you go, Oh, there's those people who are all in love, and here I am again shopping for one, just shopping for one. You're not putting yourself in the vibrational match for what
Right.
you see with that couple when you're thinking that way. What you have to do is to be grateful that that couple exists there as an example for what it is that you're looking for, and to say thank you. And to say thank you, then you're putting yourself more in a vibrational match, just imagining what it's like to be those people and
Right.
to just be
Right.
joyous with them, you know?
Yeah.
So
So what
that's putting ourselves in the vibrational match rather than being jealous of them, you see.
yeah,
That's a great example.
what you're doing is you're imagining yourself being one of a couple like this,
Exactly.
as opposed to imagining yourself being, you know,
For me.
for me. Because when
Right.
you
Right.
go and you see this and you reflect that back on yourself from the basis of what you do not have,
Yeah.
then you're putting your energy into that lack.
Yes.
And in doing so, you perpetuate that lack.
I thought from the talk this morning, one of the things that really resonated with me was the idea of divine perspective. In other words, when you stop and listen, and it can give you the direction you need to be, the direction you need to go, instead of what your ego might do. And the reason that perspective came home to me is because I find myself going down the wrong alleys a lot of times and getting what I don't need. So that just resonated with me very clearly.
Getting things you don't need or don't want.
Exactly. Did not make me happy.
Even from that, though, you're learning.
Yeah.
I have been living this prayer for a few years. It is taking so long. I'm making progress, but it is taking so long to get there.
Well, you can ask for help.
Yeah. Are you putting energy into it taking a long time?
Yeah. You have to see it done. You have to see it already accomplished what you're looking for.
Well,
yeah.
I can. I need thousands more.
And you can ask. You can ask. It's like I've told people before when I didn't feel good and we had all the meetings here, and I'm like, no, I am not sick. I demand to be healthy right here and right now. You know.
Yeah.
And it's what we put into it. You know, we have to come from the right space. But affirmative prayer really does it for me. It's the most powerful prayer I've ever learned. You know, I used to be into the bargaining. You know, long time I was in the bargaining.
You know what I call the bargaining prayer is making God in man's image.
That's good. That's good. Yep. But now we know where God informs. So whatever God is, we have it within ourselves. Everything we need is within us. And we just have to remember to tap into that and to be in divine perspective. I like that, Bob. That's good. Divine perspective. Okay. I just wanted to say a few things. If anybody has any topic or person they would like to speak to us, just let me know or send me an email. Reverend Robin is going to be talking on the third Sunday in August. And the speaker today, Ed, I don't know how to say his last name.
Viljoen.
But how do you say it?
I said Viljoen. He pronounced his own name, and I've forgotten how he
I
pronounced
know it was very different than what
Viljoen.
it was spelled. But anyway, I'm going to keep looking on his website because he said he's going to have a lot of information up there, you know, that people might be interested. So I'll keep an eye on that and go back and forth. And the other thing, well, if you have time and you want to do any kind of classes, Center for Spiritual Living in Asheville has all the classes online free, and they're the only center that does it for free. And you could go right onto their website and take a 6-week course, and you know, all the 6 weeks are there, so you could do it in one day or whatever, you know.
Spiritual economics, right? Well, we talked
Spiritual Economics, the one Bob did, is on there too, and that's all free. It's amazing classes. So it's cslasheville.org. And there's a lot of, you know, if you want to raise your vibration or anything, it's right there and it's available, and it's all free. And they're really good speakers. So that I wanted to remind you about. I think that's it. But if you want, the pledge that we were trying to get on in the beginning is pretty cool. It's David Alt, which is, he's a big Science of Mind minister, and he goes down to different countries and he builds wells. And that was like a charity we did in Asheville, and it was, you would give him money and he would go down and have wells built in all these poverty countries.
Thanks for this.
Amazing.
He's an amazing person. He started out, he's a singer-songwriter, and he was a New Thought singer-songwriter. I first met him when he came to Unity in Charlottesville like 25 years ago, just to be a singer. And then he, you know, he'd start giving talks along with it, like a lot of them do. And it just kept on going until he became a minister and got his own church.
Yeah.
Here's, Kathy, here's that pledge thing.
Okay, so enjoy this. I hope you like it.
I pledge allegiance to breaking the self-imposed barriers of my humanness. I recognize that my time on this planet is precious and limited. Every day is a canvas on which I can create. Every day is an opportunity for me to move in the direction of the dreams and the expanded vision I feel inside. By setting aside petty grievances, past mistakes, righteous anger, and my broken story, I pledge to move forward and embrace the experience of freedom right here and right now. I pledge allegiance to the expression of my spiritual honesty. I fully own the fact that my presence here in this body and on this earth is a celebration of uniqueness and importance. Creation makes no mistakes. I am a creation of life, of a higher power, of perfection. My reason for being here matters in the grand divine plan. I must be honest with my contract of life and walk the path of my destiny with conviction, purpose, and grace. I pledge allegiance to the quiet soldier within. I understand that the championing spirit that is already cellularly alive inside of me, that was already in place at the time of my birth, waits patiently for my current belief about myself to join it in its knowing. I march forward towards a history of my own making, wisely, lovingly choosing the means by which I spread my beliefs and convictions. I never make others wrong for their chosen path, for I recognize the innumerable roads that lead to the one. I pledge allegiance to a partnership with divinity. I choose to see others and myself from eyes that already view the wholeness and perfection within. I do not entertain our past damage or encourage us to identify with it, for I trust that a grander calling card has been printed for us to distribute in promoting our lives. I champion all of us to celebrate what is working rather than what isn't. I pledge allegiance to wise discernment, knowing when to speak and when to remain quiet, knowing when to comfort and when to leave alone, knowing when to intervene and when to avoid rescuing and interfering. I pledge allegiance to people and projects of substance. I cannot travel this road alone. If there is anything we need as a species, it is each other. I actively choose to support those whose work I believe in with my time, talent, and treasure. I joyously give to those whose intention and purpose is for self-empowerment and the awakening of humanity to its personal magnificence. I rally to make others aware of such light bearers and do what I can to support them in furthering their vision. I pledge allegiance to the freedom from comparison. I once and for all lay down my wearisome, stale beliefs of unworthiness and not being good enough. I know that my past does not define who I am. I am forever evolving, growing, and learning. I recognize that I am a marvel. I now choose opportunities to let my voice be heard, to let my light shatter the darkness of futility so that every personal dream is explored. I pledge allegiance in knowing that things are not always as they seem. Just because something can't be seen with the physical eye or rationalized by our current mode of understanding does not negate its existence. Understanding the difference between reality and illusion, I move into a fuller acceptance of the non-physical, the mystical, intuitive, soul aspect of living that expands my consciousness and deepens my days. I pledge allegiance to actions that fulfill the greatest good for all. By becoming a gatekeeper of compassion, tolerance, and love, I move into a fuller conviction of pure intent with regard to the words that I speak and the choices that I make. I pursue a win-win in all activities of life. I pledge allegiance to those who have gone before me, the ancestral lineage whose courage, sacrifice, and conviction still live in my bones. I honor the privileges given to me today because of the sweat from their pioneering efforts and the fortitude of their convictions. I give thanks for my responsibility in creating the same for future generations. I pledge allegiance to a love that has no agenda. I no longer choose to give for what I might get, to manipulate in order to control, to abandon before I can be abandoned, to tolerate because there are seemingly no other options. I choose to love as a way of being. I am content in my choice whether outside circumstances respond or not. In being love, I create fulfillment above and beyond what the human condition can provide. I pledge allegiance to the sacredness of laughter, knowing that the greatest healing force that exists reverberates from the vibration of this holy and irreplaceable gift. I allow humor, joy, and eruptions of laughter to make their home in my heart. I let my physical body respond to the sacred stimulus and biological wonder that laughter creates, and vow to keep this attribute alive and thriving all the days of my life.
Wasn't that powerful?
That was good. I'm sorry it didn't work when we tried to do it in sequence.
Well, that's okay. Everything's in order, the way it should be.
Yep.
Okay, so we have an ending song. And
Got the ending song?
I'll do the ending song and then I'll do the closing. Doesn't matter.
We're on a wheel, spinning through the cosmos. All the love we feel spins away the fear. Walking up the ladder, emanating power. Blessed Holy Spirit, guide us on our way. For we have courage and we have freedom for all the people. As we lighten up the world, yes, we are masters and we are heroes for all the kingdoms. As we lighten up the world, give me all your burdens, give me all your sadness. You'll be filled with laughter only when you say that you are holy water, you are highly favored. Blessing all the mountains, valleys, hills, and plains. For we have courage and we have freedom for all the people. As we lighten up the world, yes, we are masters and we are heroes for all the kingdoms. As we lighten up the world, as we lighten up, go on and show the love's the way. As we lighten up, have faith in every word you say. As we lighten up, give up the stories that we made. As we lighten up, go and light the way. We are on a wheel, spinning through the cosmos. All the love we feel spins away the fear. For we are holy water, we are highly favored. Blessing all the mountains, valleys, hills, and plains. For we are courage and we are freedom for all the people. As we lighten up the world, yes, we are masters and we are heroes for all the kingdoms. As we lighten up the world, yes, we are courage and we are freedom for all the people. As we lighten up the world, yes, we are masters and we are heroes for all the kingdoms. As we lighten up the world.
Okay. Well, it was so good to see everybody today. And please remember, I'm here for you. If anybody needs spiritual mind treatment, I'm always available. And just drop me a line or call. So as we go off this week, we let our light shine. We speak our word in prayer. We embrace our freedom and we raise our conscious contact with our bestie, knowing we all matter. So enjoy your week and love seeing you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll stay on the line a little bit to talk. We know wants to stick around.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I got to see what's going on. I hear everybody in the background.
We'll have
I hear my son-in-law cutting my grass. That's cool.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That's very cool. And again, if you think of somebody else you would like me to contact or anything you want to have in our Zoom meetings, just let me know that too. Okay? Love you all. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Kathy.
Bye.
Bye. Thank
Have
you.
a great week.
You too.
Last week we were talking and online this, and Kathy kept popping in, in and out, and in and out.
Let's see. I'm
Who
gonna
did?
Undo this, your screen share thing.
stop share, and I'm also gonna stop the